I was thinking this week of back when I was in high school. In fact, how many of you guys remember The Breakfast Club? Never watched that movie? I don't remember a lot of it. It's kind of vague. It's a 1985 blockbuster of a group of teens, unlikely group to ever be together, but what brought them together was trouble. They were put into detention on a Saturday morning, and they've gathered together from different social groups and status, and there they sit, seeming to have nothing in common, only to find out that they have more in common than they ever thought. I remember my high school. I grew up outside of Toronto, and we were one of 5 high schools in town, and there was about 2,000 kids in my high school, and there were a lot of different people there of all walks of life. And as we looked at each other, it is usually how we look that draws the attention, isn't it? The appearances. And so many times it would be music. You could say, okay, that person's metal, that one's punk, that one's goth. You could say there's a prep, there's a nerd, there's a jock. And you could look at them and the labels that have been put on them. And we realize that our appearances reflect something of us, although they at the same time can be deceiving. But somewhere in there, how we present ourselves says something about us. Would you agree? As I think about that, I think of God's word and how we are called to be different in our world. And how would we interpret that? To be different. We've been on this topic of being God's people and what that means, and we realize as we've been wandering through the wilderness with the Israelites through Exodus and even through what Jesus was giving us through the parable of the sower, we've been realizing that God's been speaking, and as he speaks to us, as he gives his truth, he is defining us. He is setting the boundaries for life. And God is the one who gives us our identity as his people. As the children of God, as we think about how we would be identified or stand out as his, look Christian, so to speak, we realize it's in the way that we think, in the way that we talk, in the way that we behave, in the choices that we make. Paul sums it up like this in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 1. He says, "Imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children."